Okay, we're going to talk about point slope form today. So point slope form is the equation that follows. Y minus y sub 1 equals m times parentheses x minus x sub 1. And in this equation, y and x are always y and x. M will always be the slope as it is in slope-intercept form. And then finally we've got a point as well. Notice the name of the equation is point slope form because in this equation you know a point and you know the slope. The slope is just m. The point is going to be x1, y1. That is the point. So those two things are all we need to know. So let's see it in action. So we're being asked to graph these two equations. So let's remember it was y minus y sub 1 equals m times parentheses x minus x sub 1. That is point slope form. So if we have this information, we have an equation in this form, we've got enough to graph it. So let's look at our first one here, the green equation. Y minus 5 equals 1/2 parentheses x minus 2. So in this, I know my slope is 1/2. That's in the m spot, so that's my slope. Now I can't do anything with just the slope. I also need the point. So let's look. You can see it's x minus x1. So this minus 2 here, that 2 is x1. Y minus 5 here, that 5 is my y1. So I can write my point. Now, you might think, oh, since it's subtraction, that means they're negative, that means my x-coordinate is -2. It actually does not work that way in point slope form. It's kind of the opposite of everything else we do. It's kind of annoying, but that's just how the equation works. So even though it's -2, it's minus the x1, or x1 would just be 2. Same thing with the y minus 5, y1 would be 5. So now I've actually got enough information to graph this equation because I have a point and I have the slope. So what I can do is I can come over my coordinate plane, I can come to 2, 5 and put a point. And then I can use my slope to find another point. I can go up 1, right 2, up 1, right 2. I also can do the opposite, down 1, left 2, down 1, left 2, down 1, left 2, down 1, left 2. And then I can connect them with my line and I have successfully graphed that equation. All I had to do was pull out the point and pull out the slope, and that was enough information. So now let's do the blue equation. So y minus 5 equals -2/3 x plus 2. So let's start with my slope. I know my slope is -2/3. I'm going to give the negative sign in front of the top number. You could put it in front of the top or the bottom. It does not matter. So my slope is -2/3. My point, so the 2 would be my x1, the 5 would be my y1. But remember, this was supposed to be subtraction in the form. And instead, this says x plus 2. If I wrote this out as subtraction, it would be x minus -2. So my x1 is actually -2. My y1 is already subtraction, so it's fine. It is 5. And now I've got enough information to graph this equation. So I'm going to come to -2, 5. I'm going to put a point. And my slope is -2/3, so that's down 2, right 3. So I'm down 2, right 3, down 2, right 3. I also can go up to left 3. Connected with a line, and I have successfully graphed that equation. Alright, so let's see it in reverse if we're given the information and asked to write the equation. So we're supposed to write an equation in point slope form. It goes through the point 3, 4 and has a slope of 2/3. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to write out my form again. Y minus y1 equals m times parentheses x minus x1. I'm going to write out my form. And now basically I'm filling in. I already know I'm going to have a y. And I already know this is going to be x. That's every single time will be like that. So then it's just filling in the m, the x1, and the y1. So in this one, my slope is 2/3. That's my m. So I put that in the m spot. Next, I'm going to label my point here. My order pair is 3, 4. That would be x1, y1. So I'm going to go x. Remember, it's subtraction. So even though it's a positive 3, I put -3. My y1 is 4, so that's going to be -4. So y minus 4 equals 2/3 times x minus 3. That is the equation in point slope form. All right, let's do another one here. So this one, write an equation in point slope form. The line goes through -2, -5, and has a slope of -3. So again, I'm just going to write out the form. You don't need to do this. I'm just doing it to kind of give a visual here. So my slope is -3. So I put that in the slope spot. I can put in my y. I can write in my x because they're always y and x. Then it's filling in my ordered pair. So my ordered pair here, my -2 would be my x1, -5 would be my y1. So let's remember, this is x minus x of 1. I subtract x1 sub 1. So this would actually be minus -2. But we wouldn't write that. That's not how we write things in math. We're not going to write minus -2. We know minus and negative is really plus. So this will actually just end up being x plus 2. Same thing over here. This would be y minus -5. So that would really just be y plus 5. And I have successfully written that equation. All right, so go to our next one here. I would like you to try this one on your own, so pause the video, try this one on your own. All right, you should have written this one out. If you did, it would have been y plus 1 equals 2 times x minus 8. Because my slope is 2, my x1 would be 8, so that's why it's minus 8. My y1 would be -1, which would have been minus -1, which is why I have a plus 1 there. All right, we got one more. So we're asked to write an equation in slope-intercept form for a line that goes through the point 4, -2, and 3, 3. So this one's different. First off, there's a mistake here. It says slope-intercept form. It should say point-slope form because that's what we're doing. Alright, second. So we're going to write an equation in point-slope form. But to write an equation in point-slope form, you need a point and you need the slope. We don't have the slope right now. We just have 2 points. But we've learned how to find the slope of a line that if we know 2 points on the line. Remember, that was this formula right here, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That can find the slope of a line between 2 points. So I'm going to label my points here. I'm going to call this x1, y1, x2, y2. And I'm going to find the slope first here. So it's y2 minus y1 on top, so 3 minus -2 on top. On the bottom, it's x2, which is 3, minus x1, which is 4. So when we do that math, 3 minus -2 is 5. 3 minus 4 is -1. So that means my slope is -5. Now I've got enough information. I know the slope, and I know 2 points, actually. So I'm going to write it out here. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So we need to write down our equation in point slope form, which is right there. So right now it's going to be y. And we need to fill in the slope and a point. So we figured out the slope was -5. So my slope is -5. Then we need to pick a point. We actually could pick either point, and either equation would be correct. You could pick the first ordered pair, 4, -2, or the second one, 3, 3. I'm going to pick the first one. I always try to get in the habit of picking the first one because we already labeled it x1, y1. You can see there. So my x1 would be 4, so this would be a -4 here. My y1 is -2, so that would be y minus -2, which is why I'm going to put a plus 2 right there. And we've successfully written the equation. We had to find the slope first. Once we found the slope, we knew the slope and a point, and we could write out the equation in point slope form. That is it.